Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the Mode2 Splinter, featuring FPV cycle, 1204 5000 kV motors, HQ 2.5-inch props, Beta FPV 12 amp ESC and flight controller all-in-one, the F7 700 TV line CMOS camera with the 25 milliwatt VTX. My receiver is the FrSky RXSR. I'm getting just about 105 millimeters motor post to motor post. Bottom plate is 2 millimeters thick. It weighs just under 60 grams. I flew it on this 3S 450 milliamp GNB battery, which brings the all-up weight to just over 100 grams. So if you missed the first video, it was a build video, and it's kind of a general build video about the new line of micros as we see them today, using these all-in-one boards and different motors, you know, kind of more of a slab with a canopy sort of build. We don't oftentimes see a lot of traditional bottom and top plates anymore. We still do get a sprinkling, but these have kind of taken over because of their ultra light form factor and the fact that you can fly these things in a lot of different places. With the audio that I've got recorded, that is obviously, it's not from the machine itself. That is from a camera that I have sitting next to me, and I sync the audio from that camera up with the DVR footage. I should start to say it more often, but I am flying with the SkyZone 030 goggles and the stock DVR. I'm not using the Power Play. So we're going to get a fairly long flight time, and you can see that in the bottom right hand corner, along with other things I should draw your attention to. We have the throttle position. We have the throttle position in the top right hand corner, and the RSSI is not working, so don't bother with that. But I forgot to get that working or change it off of the OSD. I really don't pay much attention to that, but I put it on every quad just so, like with a lot of RTFs, you can see that value up there. But this is about as close as I've gotten so far to flying the toothpick. Several people have asked me about the toothpick and if I'm going to review it. And it's just hard to get a hold of. Every time I go looking for it to buy one, they're pretty out of stock. So wildly popular, and I think Bob is working on getting more stock and getting maybe larger quantities. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. But I liked it in this configuration. Now the downside of flying it with these props is you have to drill the props out, because the motors are 2 millimeter shaft motors, and most of our props aren't 2 millimeter hold. So you're going to have to drill those out, and you're going to need to use screws on them. But I quite enjoyed this quite a little bit as we do fly around the yard, and I get to demonstrate its flight ability in my hands at least. And of course, this time of year our sun is going down relatively early in the evening, so you see it kind of low. This is actually one of the few late afternoon, I believe this was over the course of the weekend flights, because I don't fly after work anymore because it's dark. I also found that the 450 milliamp battery is a good spot for this machine. I didn't want to go up to the 525 or the 520s, depending upon if it's RDQ or GNB. I like the 450. I like the flight time is good and long still. You got plenty of juice and power. So we've obviously got some pretty efficient setup with the motor prop and weight combination. I'll put my PID tune on screen in case you happen to be building something similar and you want to try out these PIDs. This is running Betaflight 3.5.7. I know that won't please some of you because many people have been asking me about 4.1. I hear good things about 4.1. I just haven't gotten a chance to really tinker with it all that much just as of yet. But certainly time will bring that along our path at some point in time in the near future, hopefully. Hopefully the weather holds out and I continue to get more outside flight time. We had a cold spurt, so I got kind of worried that winter was going to hit early and hard, but it seems to have already let up. We're having 50-degree days. We even had a couple days get up into the 60s. You see the battery warning flashing at me down there, and just hang with me here. We're going to go all the way to the end so I can show you where I land. I typically come down right at 3.5 volts per cell. Some people like to land sooner, so if you'd like to maintain your batteries above 3.5 volts per cell, you kind of have to gauge that based upon the flight time and where you might want to stop. But this flight continues on for a while, and you can kind of manage batteries. You know, don't go back to the punch outs quite as frequently. Maybe you take a longer stretch, which is tend to what I do. You know, I cruise along the back line of the fence or take little longer lines as I fly around the yard, which isn't huge. So longer lines still aren't that long, but it's better. It's easier on the battery to take those longer lines than it is to do the winding turns back and forth. I did change the props, not the type, but the color, and that had to do with the fact that I had a crash. And even though the props visibly looked fine, I did find that I had some blurriness in the video, so I had to change out the props to get the crisp video back. And we've landed, and we're sitting here, and we're kind of waiting for the voltage to come back. And as you see, it gets to 3.5 volts per cell, and then final ends at 3.53 volts per cell. So in my opinion, the battery's in good shape, and we get over 4 minutes of flight. So you can go back and watch that build video, and I'll put a card right up here, and I'll link it down in the video description if you'd like to go watch that. It's not a blow-by-blow video to each, little solder pad, but we go through generally what I'm thinking, where to connect things on this particular board, and it applies across the board for different stuff. I actually show another board just like this with a separate VTX and camera, so you can get a little bit of an idea if you're getting into building. And I'll have a list down below of all the different parts and where I obtained them from. So if you want to build something just like this, you can. I do need to locate my hand drill for how I drill out the prop holes so that you can put them on this motor. I think I got that from Amazon a long time ago. If I don't have a link down in the video description and you want to know what hand drill I used, search Amazon, because I'm pretty certain I got it from Amazon, and search for mini hand drill or micro hand drill. It looks just like this, and it comes with several different bits for different sizes, and I've used this quite a while, so if I can't locate it in my list of orders because it is so old, I'll try to find it, and I'll try to link it down below. But the other parts are also linked down below, so if you want to replicate what you saw in the flight footage, you can do that. Some of you might also be wondering why I didn't go with the RunCam Racer Nano or the RunCam Nano 2 or one of its similar sort of cameras in separate VTX. This simplifies the build. It has the really super wide field of view that I really like. It gives you that extra sense of speed and almost like a GoPro style of view as far as the field of view goes. I just enjoy that quite a bit for flying. Maybe it's just the flying space, so you get that peripheral of stuff flying by your side, especially when you're going around trees or through that back line along the fence. I just enjoy that. It also keeps the weight down, which if you don't have any of these and you choose to build one, I would encourage you to spend the extra money if you can afford to do so, and do something like this, as well as having a separate camera and VTX, and fly them both and see what you think, see what you prefer. Some people rate the FPV camera as a high priority, and that's okay. That's up to you. We all want to enjoy what we fly. But you can feel the difference between something like this and the 2.5 to 3.5 grams that you save in going in an all-in-one versus the separate one. But again, these cameras, many people don't care for them because they aren't as crystal clear and they don't handle light quite as good as the other cameras do either. But it is one of the better ones on the market, and it is super light at like 3.4 grams for the all-in-one. You also note I don't have any nuts on the top. These screws thread right through the canopy, and it's nice and taut. I'm not worried about this canopy flying off. I think it's probably going to take a fairly tremendous crash. I had a few crashes in my flight time with it, and I bend up the props, and because of its low profile, it's going to be fairly difficult for something to hit the camera. It's most likely the camera will be hit in a tumbling crash to where as you're tumbling over, maybe the camera hits. I'm not too concerned about that. I think actually Bob builds his with this as well, if I recall seeing that correctly. But that's the Mode2 Splinter. As I said, I'll have a list of parts down below. Most of these cost around 150 bucks to build them. And from a budget standpoint, that won't be as appealing because we can buy many like this for around $100. So you can save quite a bit of money. But my opinion is that generally these are better. They're either more durable, they have better efficiency, like this combination, and I got, what, 4 minutes and 13 seconds of flight time on it. That's pretty rare for me. I wouldn't be surprised, unless you fly like I do, in space like I do, with all the hard, 180 plus turns, that your flight time will be well above that on the same size of battery if you use a combination like this. So if you're looking for long flight times, this is a setup I can recommend. I don't know what the Toothpick 3 comes in at, because as I said in the flight footage, I haven't had an opportunity to try them. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in that section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.